I'm Bree with this week's health and nutrition news. Drug-resistant superbacteria are getting stronger than ever, and new studies say that these tough buggers are only going to get deadlier. If you've been sick before, the doctor may have prescribed antibiotics to slay the nasty bacteria in your body. However, disease-spreading bugs like viruses, bacteria, parasites, and fungi are starting to fight back, developing high resistant levels to antibiotics. Even hospitals are seeing outbreaks of these dangerous critters, like UCLA's Ronald Reagan Medical Center, where nearly 180 patients were potentially exposed to a superbug earlier this year. The World Health Organization is warning the public and healthcare industry that antibiotic resistance is a very real danger and is already leaving millions of people defenseless against the ultra-evolved bacteria. The agency has even said that we're now living in a post-antibiotic era in which common infections and minor injuries can kill. If you've been staying tuned to the news, you may have already heard these superbugs that laugh in the face of medicine. After all, last year the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention began creating superbug alert levels like urgent, serious, and concerning. Currently, there's about 2 million people in the USA that are infected with antibiotic-resistant drugs, which have claimed about 23,000 deaths due to medicine proving ineffective. Surprisingly, health professionals are partially to blame since they so frequently prescribe the disease-killing drugs. This gives the critters more chances to adapt defense mechanisms for the next time so they can return better equipped for vengeance. Another major source of this dangerous bacteria evolution comes from the antibiotics used in raising bigger pigs and cows for humans to eat. While researchers and lawmakers come up with solutions, be sure to wash your hands often and only accept antibiotics if your doctor insists.
You alright? I mean, I'm okay. I kinda have a headache though. So, you good then?
Lego is taking its lovable building blocks into the medical world of prosthetics, helping kids replace missing limbs with artificial ones. See, the field of bionics explores ways to create man-made machines that function like living organisms. Researchers have already invented amazing gadgets, such as contact lenses that give us superhuman sight and 3D printed body parts that are printed out layer by layer with special biological materials. So where do Legos come in? Well, the newly designed Ico prosthetic arm can be customized with Lego pieces. Its creator, Carlos Arturo Torres, was inspired when he met Dario, an 8-year-old without a right forearm who was drawing a 10-armed robot in his notebook. When he asked Dario about the robot's bionic eye, the young man said that the robot made it himself, because only he knew what he needed. That's when the lightning bolt of inspiration zapped Torres in the brain. He created a pop and lock base on a prosthetic limb with a battery, special sensors, and a computer processor. Basically, it can detect muscle movement and then send those instructions to whatever's connected on the other end of the Ico. That means it can manipulate everything from the artificial hands to the Lego toys. Talk about a fun way to turn kids into cyborgs and Marvel superheroes.
Who put a stink bomb in my arm cannon?
Ever felt sick after eating an otherwise healthy meal? Then you may have suffered from food poisoning. So what exactly is it, and how can you prevent it from tying your stomach into knots? Every year, as many as 1 in 6 Americans get a bad case of food poisoning by eating contaminated food. That is, the dirty food causes painful cramps, vomiting, and feeling of weakness. It's a nasty type of sickness, but one that's surprisingly avoidable, considering that 70% of food poisoning cases are just people mishandling food. Don't be too paranoid though. Just follow a few of these easy tips. This first one may seem obvious, but it's important to shop in supermarkets with fresh produce. Don't buy groceries with fast approaching expiration dates since they'll spoil sooner. Instead, look towards the back row where the market often stocks the newest products. After all, they want to get rid of their old ones first, and so often place them out in front to tempt shoppers more easily. Don't fall for it. Another useful bit of wisdom is checking to see whether or not the safety seals are fully intact. If a package is leaking or has a broken seal, don't get it. These dribbling contents have often been exposed to potential contamination. Okay, so you've piled some products in the grocery cart from the back row, and they're not leaking. What might not be super obvious is that once you're done purchasing everything, the items should be separated from each other all the way until they reach the fridge. Separate beef, chicken, pork, and fish from fresh produce like veggies and fruit. Store any meat that won't be cooked immediately on the very bottom of the freezer, so nothing can drip down and contaminate other food. And when it's time to cook or prepare food, wash your hands and any plant produce thoroughly. Lastly, a clean kitchen is essential to preventing any contamination, especially when dealing with raw meat, which soaks up the germs from just about any surface you put it on.